Hello everyone, welcome back to Gerard's TED Talk Season Episode 1. For today's TED Talk, I'm going to be talking about gang violence in Southside Chicago. Dating back to the 1900s, steel mills and factories were seeking employees and people to fill in their jobs. That is when low-income African Americans and immigrants from the South came up to North America and filled in those jobs. Now, these jobs were low class jobs, so only they could fill them in. Because back then, only the rich had good jobs. So when they started filling these jobs, they started to get to know each other, and after that, they started forming their own gangs. Now, the two famous gangs that most people know from Chicago are Latin Kings and Black Disciples. These are the two races that really ran the streets and ran Chicago. So, dating back then, all they could do was like bond with each other, and then after that, they started forming a rivalry. When they formed a rivalry, that is when everything started happening. Latin Kings and Black Disciples had their own blocks on the streets, and they knew that if someone stepped on their streets, that is when shooting started happening. When this started happening, this started really affecting the residents, especially people in Garfield Park. Garfield Park was known as a neighborhood really for selling drugs, especially cocaine. Cocaine was really sold, and that's like the only money that was generated through gangs. So they lived off of selling drugs. So that's their lives were really miserable due to drugs and gang violence. Now, when we talk about killings each week, imagine 25 people dying every single week. That includes men, women, and children. And residents of these neighborhoods are just stuck up with it. Like, why are these people dying? Just innocent people dying for no reason, just because of gang violence. So, what residents did was some people of Garfield Park stood on a corner and they made a sign saying dealers must go, hang out with snow cones and lemonade. Now, they tried to promote their ideas of stopping gay violence in a positive way, not negative way, because they didn't want to impact the drug dealers or make them upset. So in that way, it was the most positive way, and they got their voice across, letting dealers know that they wanted to stop the massacres happening. So due to that, gang violence reduced in these neighborhoods, but still happened. And a recent shooting happened on August 7th this year. 59 people were shot and 7 people were dead. That is such a tragedy that nobody would ever want to happen. Now, potential solutions to this problem, there's not really a solution because the low income class people seek drugs and the easy way out, not looking for jobs. So there's not really a solution, but what residents do, or just as residents of Garfield Park, they set up a stand on the corner and promoted their ideas and their voice across. Now, in my opinion, I think gang violence will always happen, but maybe putting out more cops in these areas will reduce the gang violence. But hopefully one day, residents and the whole city of Chicago can come to a peace and amend, and residents will be happy to where they live and happily live in the South Side Chicago. Thank you for tuning in.